First off, thanks everyone for having me here. This is a friendly group because I know you all need some funding. When I campaigned, I'm going to go back in '06, roads and schools is what my people were yelling and screaming about, along with County Judge Moore here. That's all I kept hearing. So anyway, first off, I thought transportation is very, very important for Kentucky. I want my grandkids to be here for jobs, and we got to get this infrastructure moving. So what happened was we put a study group together. This is not a Republican bill or a Democrat bill, it's a Kentucky bill. That's why I keep telling my people on my committee. We put a group together, we found out there were some needs and everything else. Along with Secretary Thomas, I spoke to him a lot. What do we need? How much do we need? And all. What I did, our budget right now, transportation is about $3 billion, something like that. Back in 1998, I'm just going to go through some numbers because we can throw numbers at everyone. In '98, the budget was $1.2 billion for transportation. The 6-year road plan, it was there. It was the 60-year road plan, not the 6-year. Right. So we changed that. Gotcha. I'm telling you, people, if there's a road plan out there, it's coming to your community. Get ready. It's coming. We wanted to do that. In 1998, gas was $1.43 a gallon. $2.39, I think, right now. And maybe in some parts it may be even cheaper than $2.39 a gallon. I mean, look at it. Now I'm going to go through some other things. Back in 1998, our stone, $12 a ton. Today, $21 a ton. There's asphalt paving, $34 a ton back then. Now it's $74. I don't have a gravel pit. I don't have a construction company, so don't think I'm coming at this because I'm begging. Culvert pipe, 24-inch. I see it all the time. Back then, it was $50 a foot, $106 a foot. Just guardrail, another one, $10 a foot, $16 a foot. So, this has all changed, and I saw a need in my members in this little committee. We studied it, and we said we got to do something about it. So I proposed a bill twice. They say three's a charm, so I'm going to need you guys to help me because I've got a lot of members, and you all are new people, some new magistrates, and new county judges. We need your support. This is a bill that is for Kentucky, and I'm telling you, it's something. Electric cars are out here now. More and more, they're riding on our roads for free and tearing up your roads. So electric cars, I proposed in this bill a yearly fee, $150. That's not outrageous. Hybrid cars, Toyota right up the road. The Highlander's coming out every day. They're hybrid cars. That's less funding for our roads for you all to get back to your counties and your magistrates that you can bring and take care of things. So in that bill, we had a lot of good things in there. We've had our registration fees haven't changed since the 90s. Some of our fees when Kennedy was president still haven't changed. So a lot of this was in the bill, and it was just my bill. This was, I can name all the members in this study group. So I kept telling the speaker, I don't want this study just to sit on a shelf, and I'm going to need you all to keep telling the Speaker of the House and President Stivers, we need this, this is time. Toll credits we're going to lose over $100 million. We have a multimodal fund in there. Road fund money cannot go to aviation for our airports, general aviation. Cannot even touch it. So I want to have a little funding system there for our mass transit stuff. We need people to be able to stay in good roads. So that bill, that's just a quick rundown on it. I don't think it'll hurt anyone. I drive, and when I need gas, I'm going to stop and get gas. And no matter what it is, I'm going to pay for it. I have to like it. But we're going to give you a return. So that's the overall thing on the bill is a quick rundown.
All right, Senator Harris, from the Senate's perspective, you're all hearing a lot about this. We know the bill will start in the House, but what's the landscape in the Senate, and with your committee, where do you see this going?
Well, excuse me. First, let me say thank you for inviting me, and I recognize that you guys at the local level have the toughest job in politics because you're dealing with your friends and your neighbors, and they know where you live. And they can knock on your door. And I want to say Sal has done a tremendous amount of heavy lifting over the past 2 years to get this bill to where it is. And Sal, thanks for the great work.
I want you to applaud when I get the bill passed. All right?
Well, I think the flavor in the Senate is I think we're going to be ready to do something. Last year, the groups, some of you were involved, did put a folder on every one of our desks that said, here's what the road plan looks like. The green means it's funded, it's going to go. Then there was another band of yellow that is, if we get more money, this will go in the road plan. And then there was the red band where it's not even funded. And I think that was a wake-up call because as Sal mentioned, as I'm sure the secretary will mention, we have an 80-20 match, federal to state, and that 20% is going to be totally eaten up when Sal and I get together to do the road plan next year with the toll credits going away, with the money that goes to state police, and the retirement. So what does that mean for at least this cycle coming up and maybe the next one? If there's no increase in revenue, then there will be no new projects in there. None. Most critically affected will be the state projects, the ones that when you look at the road plan are titled SPP. What do those projects do? Those are projects that go to small industrial complexes. We need a road to 200-acre industrial complex on the outside of town. That would probably be SPP money. For those of you in the Louisville area, Old Henry Road, access to Pee Wee Valley, outside the Gene Snyder, $18.5 million that just extends that is state money. It's not going to be built. And there's numerous other things, little turn lanes and places like that around the cities and counties. So I think when we did the road plan 2 years ago, we had it slightly over-programmed, which we always do, of about 8 to 10%, which is appropriate to allow for slippage and adjusting things. And it had some new projects in it. I think what's going to happen when we get the road plan this year, everybody is going to say that, hey, I know there's no new projects, but some of my projects have slipped another year or two. And as a result, it's going to be a wake-up call that, oh my goodness, we've got to have some additional funding. I've been tooting that horn for 6 or 7 years. Sal's been tooting it as well. But I think reality is going to be tough on everybody when we look at the current road plan and the one that's going to be proposed, because there will be no new projects, either federal or state, and some of the ones that are already in there may slip a little bit because of funding issues. So what does that mean? That means you got to get in touch with your state rep and state senator. And this is not a hard vote. I mean, this for Sal and I and for so many people, this is going to be an easy vote because good roads bring economic development, and economic development requires good roads, and it's a win-win for everybody. So how much we increase it by, I'm not sure. Too early to tell. But if I were king for a day, and that may be why they won't make me king for a day, I would do 10 cents. And then I would have an inflation factor beyond that. That's a hard sell. But if we can just get back to where we were about 4 years ago, remembering that every penny is $30 million, split 50-50 about through the formula, then that will enable us to do a lot more to continue the economic development and safety and congestion needs that we have.
All right, thank you, Senator. So no one knows the need more than the Secretary. After the legislature allocates the funding and puts the plan in place, of course, the Secretary and his team are then charged with executing that plan, building the projects, overseeing, but also working with us, with the Department of Rural Roads and all the other areas that he deals with. Secretary, thank you for being with us today, and the floor is yours to talk with us about whatever you feel we need to hear.
Thank you, Judge. Well, first, let me just thank you for the opportunity to speak to you, and let me just say that all of our speakers here are spot on. Senator Harris, Representative Santoro, the judge, all of us are in agreement that the need is dire and it's here. First, let me say that our governor not only cares about the 28,000 plus miles that the state takes care of, but he cares about the entire 90,000 miles that are out there, and all of it is needed for economic growth and development. And this governor knows about how to make an economy grow, and he also recognizes that infrastructure is a necessary part of that. But just our experience, and we've been, I think now we're on kind of 260 plus meetings with you folks and local officials, but it's looking obvious to me that with a replacement rate on your asphalt of about 30 to 40 years, that it's just unsustainable. So a lot of this, what we're doing is for the counties and the cities as well. So let me just say that we're totally in support of that and for rebuilding that infrastructure as well. On the state side, we talked about a $500 million annual need the last go around, and we're in the process of refining that through our shift process and other studies, but I can tell you that it's only going up and the needs are increasing. We've got a significant choke point, and that I'll call it the state checking account, if you will. A lot of folks don't, I didn't realize this, but every dollar of federal money that we receive, authority, rolls through the state checking account. So if we have a $30 million federal project, that's paid out of the state checking account before we get reimbursement. And so that requires around 30 to 60 million of just the cash balance in the state checking account all year long. So there's just a lot of pressures on the state checking account. And as Senator Harris pointed out, we're saying there's really no new projects. We're all about matching, matching the federal revenues because our toll credits are gone. So the state construction budget is just pavement, bridges, and matching our federal dollars. So we're slowly shooting ourselves in the foot too on sustainable funding for these federal grants. If you look at what we received on this, these latest rounds, infra and the 3 build grants, $127 million from USDOT in terms of a grant for all of those projects, significant. And as the judge pointed out, Secretary Chow, USDOT, they're in support of Kentucky as well as other states, but so far we're getting a fair share of those revenues. But not many people talk about the $153 million of our revenues that we had to match for those projects. And so for the first time with these build grant applications, we're looking now at what can we afford as a state match for that. So it's becoming very dire from several different angles, but we need to move with more revenue. So thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. We wanted this session to also involve you. You probably have ideas or questions about this process, because this has got to be a team effort. We've all got to be pulling together. So what's on your mind when it comes to what you're hearing this morning? Your thoughts, questions for the panel? Anyone? We have a couple mics. Bill's always ready, so kick us off. Be thinking about your question and work your way up to a mic.
One issue with the road fund that's always disturbed me for years is that they take, I think it's $100 million out of the road fund to fund the state police and some non-road projects. Is there any chance at all that that money can be left in the road fund and the general fund find the money to make up for that? And is it $100 million that's taken out of that? Is that right?
About 114 million, really, for the state police.
Yeah.
It's in the Constitution that public safety will be part of it, and I'm going to fight for the state police all I can. But actually, some of that, the state police now took over the scales and everything, so there's more personnel. You know, it's one of these problems that they see there's money there, and they do other things on the list. I've been in a little conversation to start, we got to pull some of that back, keep it in the road fund. I do see that. I don't like it, that other things are funded through our road fund plan. So we're going to try and tweak that more and more, that it stays where it needs to be.
If I could just weigh in on that, I've spoken to Senator Harris about this, but one of the things we're looking at, you know, the state police is, in terms of the manpower, it's woefully down, and one of the things in terms of revenue coming back into the road fund is actually more CVE officers, and so what I'm going to you know, propose to the legislature is possibly even adding CVE officers, because that pays back into the road fund through truckers' fees and what have you. And our Truckers Association is totally supportive. They want a fair, level playing field. So just another comment.
Well, it's a constant fight that we have with the general fund budget and the road fund budget when we have crossover, like for state police. And I think it's a good idea that we fund, in particular, the commercial vehicle guys, the guys that do the scales and inspections. How it turns out, I don't think there's any doubt that we'll continue to have a pot of money going to state police, which is appropriate, but we'll just have our fights over how much that is.
Yes, sir. And when you ask a question, maybe give your name and where you're from. That might help our panel.
My name is Jeff Sims. I'm a magistrate in KACo County. I appreciate the opportunity to address you. More for Secretary Thomas probably on this one, but we're starting to see some new types of paving, caping, micro beads, other things coming to the forefront as far as technology. Other countries using recycled plastics and all kinds of things. Can you tell us a little bit about where the department is on, you know, I know caping's being deployed now, and kind of what the longevity of that looks like, and the studies being done to kind of validate, you know, those processes. Thank you.
Sure, yeah. I mean, for the most part, we're into the traditional paving. We do see a place for the preventive maintenance side of the equation, but it's at this point, it's a very small fraction of the total look in terms of asphalt. But we feel like, depending on the surface and depending on the, you know, where we are in the fatigue or the need of repair, that sometimes it's more cost effective to do some of these treatments. But for the most part, we're still into the traditional asphalt paving.
Maybe along that same line, it's not so much the type of material, but using design build teams, using other creative approaches to getting projects to construction, something that you all have been very aggressive with, but any thoughts on that? Does that save money or does that cost money?
Oh, well, the design build is, of course, we're kind of proving it out now as we speak. We're just opening the bids on the iMove in eastern Jefferson County. We just looked at the infra results, and so I guess the jury's out. But we do feel like it's a worthy option to consider, depending on the supply and demand of our contractors. So, but it's something certainly to consider.
All right, Judge.
I live in eastern Kentucky. My name's Mike Malone. I'm Carter County Judge Executive. One problem that we're having, and I think a lot of counties in the eastern end are having, is log trucks and mineral extraction trucks are tearing our roads up faster than we can fix them. And the closest enforcement to my county is about 80 miles away. They have one guy for a very large section. Our sheriff's department is we've got 6 deputies is all we've got for a county with 400 and some square miles. I wonder if there could be any more help on the enforcement end to stop these. I mean, loggers are probably the worst, and some of them come in on Friday night, and whenever there is no enforcement, and they're gone by Monday morning, and your roads are left a mess. And I, for one, and probably most of the counties in eastern Kentucky would like to have some help on enforcement up there. Thank you.
I'm in total agreement. You know, these, and I'm not gonna say they're all illegal, but these trucks come in after hours. We need more vehicle enforcement officers. So, you know, in the event that we should have more funding, they would possibly be out there at all. You know, scales in my area are closed a lot of times.
That's right.
Man, they need to be open. I mean, these trucks are coming through, and it's all across the state. It's just lack of manpower. And, you know, Secretary Thompson's got to pay a pension also. That comes
That's
out
right.
of the budget. You know,
That's right.
transportation, that giant, you know, that pension, you know, it's going to be on our backs forever. And he's got to deal with that too. So as we do that, we know there's a need out there.
Yeah, and I agree. We're all for, Mike, we're all for adding CV officers. I think the payback would be there. And let me just say real quickly, you know, we're not going to save our way to prosperity on this, okay? Since the governor, under his watch, we're down 600 employees in the transportation cabinet. But the transportation cabinet has been on a diet since, you know, back to the year 2000. We're about 4,100 employees now. We were at 6,000 back in the year 2000. So, I mean, we're doing everything we can to improve efficiencies, but we need the revenue.
Judge? This is a comment, not actually, and actually a compliment. John Logan Brent, Henry County Judge Executive, been in office 17 years. Secretary Thomas made an appointment through my staff at the office that he was going to come out, and I know he came out to a number of counties, listened to the concerns. That's never been done before, and I'm a Democratic judge executive, Republican administration, came out, listened intently, and I just want to thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
And actually, Senator Harris, heard a lot of comments about 146, and we've got something in writing saying that will be let next year. So make sure that doesn't change when you look at that.
Well, I tell you what, I'll make sure that I'll sick Shirley Anderson on it, okay?
You owe her more than I do.
I don't.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Judge.
Appreciate
Boy, it's
that.
nice to get a compliment, and I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
All right. Yes.
I echo those compliments. I'm Brad Schneider from Henderson County, Judge Executive.
Right.
And I think you know that you probably not speak to a room that has people that are more familiar with making tough choices, handling mandates that come down to us from Frankfurt, and having to do things like make hard cuts, raise taxes, despite the political danger in doing that, just to make sure we do the right thing and the things we know are best for our county. So in the upcoming General Assembly session, I would urge Senator Stivers, Senator Harris and your colleagues, and Sal Santoro and your colleagues to return the favor by making these tough decisions for us, because you all know how important it is. And you have the backing of local counties and cities. I know in many respects, I'm sure that many judge executives stood up at state of county dinners this summer and other events and tried to pitch the importance of new revenue for roads. So I think we're taking that hit. We've got your back. And I hope that the Senate and House can see fit to do the same in January and February.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. We're nearing the end of our time, so I want to give each of our panel members a couple minutes just to wrap up and answer anything you've heard and kind of close it out at this point. So, Senator Harris, you want to start us off?
I'll be glad to. I just want to say, stay in touch with us as we go through the session coming up. It's going to be a long session from January to mid-April. We'll do the general fund budget, we'll do the road plan, and when you get the new road plan, just look at the difference between where we are now and what the proposal is to realize how critical it is that we increase the revenue so that we can continue with our economic development. Because think about the millions of dollars that has been reported of new investment in the state over the past couple of years. those millions of dollars or billions of dollars are going to need infrastructure to support them to see them through fruition. So thanks again for the invitation to come.
I'm just going to be very brief. You know, this is very important, our transportation. And no one will ever get beat on this vote, I don't think. They already setting out hit pieces on me, you know, a bad picture in the mail. And it was in the summer. I'm thinking, wow, you're mailing them, beating me up already. I didn't even propose the bill yet. I'm going to do something. We're going to do something. I guarantee you. I'm going to try again. But let your senators and House reps know, and you guys got to be the ones, because you got to hear from them. You know, hey, don't worry. We're going to do it, and you're going to get something. You know, I'm for schools. I'm for healthcare and everything. But you see that in a way. But you know, if we do this transportation budget, you're going to see a lot. We're repairing bridges back home. You know, y'all going to. A lot of bridge was just let. Repaving, I mean, think about what we're doing with nothing, what we will be doing with something. So thanks for your support. Please, you know, when you see that bill coming out and it's down there at the Senate, and I know this guy's going to work with me, we need those calls. We need you to back our people. So thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed this. Thank you very much.
Secretary Thomas.
Well, I'm going to unashamedly put a plug in for my boss. You know, with 57,000 jobs, $22 billion of investment, he knows how to make Kentucky grow. And you know, I think, the judge from Henry County pointed out he's not about an R road or a D road. He's about doing the right thing. And so I think it's incumbent upon us to keep this infrastructure moving forward and with additional funding and keep our economy growing. So thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. I think that point there at the end, we've heard candidates, both of the candidates actually, for governor talk about leading. We've asked that question point blank to say, if you are the governor, will you be out front? We've heard that from legislators, and we have that commitment that they will help lead this effort as well. I mentioned that the chamber has now adopted this as their #1 issue.
That's good.
And that is huge. Having business on our side, you're always going to have the road builders and the engineers and the asphalt and the aggregate folks. But to have the Chamber of Commerce with #1 issue, the league and KACo, cities and counties are together. We have our agreement. We're not pulling in opposite directions. The planets are aligned, but a lot of it's up to you. You have to talk to your members. You have to let them know you have their back. Be there for this issue. I can't think of anything that we'll work on in the coming years of our terms that is more important than getting this done. So let's thank our panel, and I look forward to seeing you.